So we're going to be carrying on with Learning Unit 2, Theme 3, Developing Lessons. We've already looked at the introductory phase. Now we're looking at the teaching and learning phase. This is the instructional phase. So the content is delivered to the learners. Now, most of the theory we're learning is going to be applied in this phase. So using multimodality, using student-led teaching methods, all of those things happen during the teaching and learning phase. What you want to make sure is that everything, the content, the way you deliver the content, the way the learners interact with the content is all designed to meet the objectives of the lesson. So you don't want to just design this fantastic lesson that's lots of fun and lots of interaction, but doesn't actually fulfill the objectives of the lesson. Then it's not a good lesson, because a good lesson fulfills the objectives. This is also where the learners get to practice their skills. So that's why we call it teaching and learning phase, because obviously as a teacher, you have the knowledge, you have to spend some time imparting that knowledge to the learners. You can't just give them basic instructions and then expect them to just go ahead and do it themselves without much guidance. You do have to provide guidance, you have to provide some structure. But also, the learners have to have a chance to use those skills and practice those skills. So there needs to be a practical component here somehow. This is also part of where the assessment phase comes in, because this is where you might walk around and check to see how they're doing. You might, if a group is going in the wrong direction, you can stop them and you can redirect them, guide them to the correct path they need to be on. So it's most likely that some form of assessment is going to happen here. Then we have the closure phase. So this is exactly what it says. It's the closure, it's the conclusion. Now, you always want to leave time for the closure phase, even if it means stopping the learners short. So you see you've got 3 minutes left or you've got 5 minutes left. You stop what they're doing and you make sure you close the lesson. Because without this closure phase, the learners are less likely to remember exactly what the lesson was about. The lesson feels incomplete to them. So during this phase is when you provide a brief overview of what it is that you have done in this lesson. So what their objectives were, what the main points were, what they did. Because this is the part they are most likely to remember, the last part that they hear, so that they are ready for the next lesson. If you want to do a recap, they will remember it from, most likely from the closure phase. Please remember, the closure phase is not the assessment phase. You are not doing assessment during this phase. What you are doing is summarizing the lesson and bringing their attention to the most important points of the lesson. And then the assessment phase is the evaluation. You need to evaluate how much the learners have understood and if they've understood things correctly. So this is done partly during the teaching and learning phase, but also afterwards in terms of homework, in terms of assignments, in terms of tests. So The assessment phase will fit in wherever you want it to.